Chapter 22. Chapter 22. R18, possibly building a hero tribe. In the Tianquang tribe, Lin Tian had almost fully recovered during this period of rest. It was time to once again improve his strength. After mating with Gobu Yue, his level cap had increased to over 100, but he still hadn't gained enough experience. He needed to raise his level, otherwise, facing the Sword Saintess would result in instant defeat. Lin Tian donned his equipment, took Freya by the hand, and prepared to level up in the Enchanted Forest. However, he suddenly thought of something. Gobu Yue, you should come too. It would be more dangerous in the future, and Gobu Yue definitely couldn't die. She needed some strength to protect herself. It was best to take her along for leveling up. However, leveling up bit by bit would be too time-consuming. System. Start the life simulation. Life simulation system is starting. Current scenario. Cultivating third-generation goblins. After ambushing Brighttown and capturing the hero variant, you achieve decent results, but you have provoked the Sword Saintess, the Human Imperial, and even the massive force of the Holy Church. You need to quickly improve your strength and level. You took Freya and Gobu Yue into the Enchanted Forest to level up. In half a month, you killed 2 enchanted wolf packs, 7 ghost-faced monkey packs, and several first-tier and second-tier magical beasts, reaching level 43. However, Gobu Yue unexpectedly reached level 50, even surpassing you. Upon closer inspection, you discovered her talent passive skill, Wild Growth, seemed to double the experience gained. You were very pleased. Even Freya, the dog, reached level 40. You lingered in the Enchanted Forest for another half month. Finally, you reached level 50. Gobu Yue reached level 60, and Freya reached level 45. Option 1. Return to the tribe and start planning the next steps. It's too dangerous to stay outside any longer. Rating 0. Option 2. Your strength is still insufficient. Continue leveling up. Rating 10. Option 3. Level up to 100 to challenge the Sword Saintess one-on-one. Rating 1000. Seeing these outrageous options, Lin Tian was amused. Challenge the Sword Saintess one-on-one. Even if he reached level 100, it wouldn't be possible. After all, goblins were low-level monsters with limited strength unless he evolved into a high-level variant. But even then, it wouldn't guarantee a win against that crazy woman. It was better to use his brain. Time had passed, and it was almost time to check on the progress of the third-generation goblins. So, he chose option 1, returning to the tribe. Then he interrupted the life simulation, directly skipping a month ahead. Summary. This enchanted forest can no longer provide enough experience. Leveling up is slow. Rating 20 points out of 100. Reward life points at 20. This life simulation is complete with a time progression of 1 month. Bye-bye. Shush. Immediately, Lin Tian felt a wave of dizziness in his head. His vision filled with blinding white light, as if he were standing in another world. The surroundings eerily quiet. From a bird's eye view, he watched everything happening in his original world. Frames of scenes flashed rapidly, finally freezing on the Tianquang tribe. Lin Tian felt as if he were being sucked in, finally returning to reality. My dear lord, are you feeling unwell? Beside him, Freya's voice sounded. Lin Tian opened his eyes and didn't respond. Instead, he first checked his attribute panel. He was indeed level 50, health 850, strength 270, defense 300. Overall combat power was only 900, so weak. His level had been quickly raised, but his combat ability hadn't caught up, resulting in an overall rating of only 900. But it didn't matter. His attributes had increased, and the rest could be addressed later. He then glanced at Gobu Yue's attribute panel. Gobu Yue, Elzexta. Race, Goblin. Profession, God's Messenger. Titles, Female Goblin, Fallen God, Pure Soul, Monster Slayer, God's Blessing. Health, 1000. Strength, 270. Defense, 390. Skills, Gene Devour, Wild Growth, Climb, Silent Steps, Stone Skin. Equipment, Basic Iron Armor, Basic Scimitar. Overall, 700. Her attributes had improved, but her overall rating was still shockingly low. This was probably because she didn't know how to fight, as long as she had some self-defense ability. It was enough. As for Freya, Lin Tian didn't care much. She was just a dog he kept. Then, he quickly went to see the newly born third-generation goblins. Gobu Tian, where are the new goblins? Why haven't I seen them? Lin Tian angrily questioned. Gobu Tian lowered his head submissively. Boss, they're with the elves. Leah had 2 goblin infants feeding from her, while another lay on the ground, curled up and seemingly very weak. You're back. I don't know why, but only these 3 goblins survived. All the others were stillborn or died shortly after birth, Leah said, her eyes full of sorrow, as if she were looking at her own children. Lin Tian, though still unsure, comforted her first. I see. Thank you for your hard work. Leah. Disgusting goblins. You still think you can raise powerful offspring? What brainless fools. Loder mocked at this moment. His hair had grown long and his beard scruffy, hanging his head while being tied to a stone, looking particularly miserable. But his mouth was still as sharp as ever. Lin Tian narrowed his eyes slightly and asked, It seems you know why? Loder snorted coldly. The higher the tier of the goblin, the harder it is for its offspring to survive. If it were as easy as you think, goblins would have already taken over the world with their breeding capabilities, so that's how it is. So you knew this from the start but kept quiet, causing my elf ladies to suffer needlessly. Lin Tian's expression grew increasingly cold and frightening. He turned to signal Gobu Kwang and the others. Loader suddenly raised his head, his face twisted with rage. Come on, you beast. I'm not afraid anymore. Bring it on. Oh, then let's change the game. You lot, come over here. Lin Tian beckoned a few goblins and whispered softly in their ears. The goblins looked aggrieved and reluctant. Boss, doing this is don't want to do it. Do you want to die instead? Lin Tian threatened. They could all sense that Lin Tian had returned stronger and more formidable. Terrified, they complied immediately, approaching the bound Loader and leading him into a hut. Lin Tian smiled benevolently. Goodbye. Enjoy your time. You, get away. Disgusting beast. Don't touch me. Don't kiss me. Oh, mother, I was wrong. I don't want to be with a disgusting male goblin. Follow the boss's orders and let me bear your children. In the hut, instead of screams, there were the sounds of a man's embarrassed and angry voice. At this moment, Leah's sorrowful voice sounded, Lin Tian, another goblin infant isn't going to make it. Lin Tian looked over and, indeed, the goblin infant on the ground had died. Fortunately, the two feeding seemed healthy, producing only 2 every month. With just the potential to evolve into hero tier, would still take a long time to evolve. Even spending a whole year would not produce many hero tier goblins. It wouldn't even be enough to eliminate the current batch. There was only one way, to capture more breeding tools. 30 elves were too few. But at this critical moment, capturing villagers from surrounding villages would be like courting death. If discovered, they would certainly go to Brightown for help, and then they would be besieged immediately. Currently, averaging 3 surviving per month would yield only about 30 in a year. 30 hero tier goblins were still not enough to fight against the Sword Saintess and her allies. With no chance of victory, there was only one solution. Thoroughly evolve this batch into hero tier goblins, and the dragon they brought would be the best source of potential. Line up. Today the boss lets you play with something special. Lin Tian walked to the resting wyvern, stroking her smooth skin. Good girl. All this food is for you. Enjoy. Then, several goblins brought a large amount of wild boar, deer, and even magical beasts. Seeing this, the wyvern immediately began devouring them, taking advantage of this moment. Lin Tian ordered the goblins to start working without delay. A day and night passed. The wyvern lay on the ground exhausted, panting heavily. Lin Tian was surprised that she did not resist. It seemed that not only the purple gold dragon mother but other dragons were also in their breeding season. But first, the purple gold dragon mother's needs had to be met. You've been holding back for a long time, haven't you? Good girl. You can eat all this meat. Lin Tian ordered more meat to be brought. The other goblins were invigorated, extremely excited. It was as if they had gained dragon power within them. Very thrilling. Long live the boss. Mating with a dragon is legendary in the goblin world. I have a feeling I can evolve. Indeed. It feels like I can evolve into something big soon. Lin Tian commanded them all to enter the enchanted forest and start an unrestricted slaughter, sparing no living creature they encountered. Only this way could they level up faster. The sooner they evolved into hero tier goblins, the better. Today, Loader's eyes no longer held defiance. Looking at Lin Tian, they were filled with fear and trembling. This goblin was too perverse, powerful beyond human understanding. He was actually going to create a tribe of hero tier goblins. A single hero tier goblin could lead a medium-sized goblin tribe. What was the concept of having over 100? It was enough to contend with an entire city. Banging a dragon is crazy. Chapter 23. Chapter 23. Battle against the Silverblade Knight Regiment. Immediately, Lin Tian needed to enhance his strength. Otherwise, facing a group of hero-level goblins, he might not be able to establish his authority. Ever since mating with the wyvern he brought, his attributes had grown. Health, 1200. Strength, 320. Defense, 400. The transformation of his qualities was better than expected. He didn't need to spend time evolving to obtain attributes that other goblins would have after evolution. System. Open the system store. Over this period, he had accumulated nearly 200 life points, which could be obtained not only through the life simulation. Gaining new achievement titles also increased life points. Iron Sword, 5 points. Experience Fruit, 1 point. Low-level Recovery Potion, 1 point. Low-level Potential Fruit, 1 point. Consuming it randomly increases an attribute by 1 point. These were all low-level items. Lin Tian carefully observed there was nothing useful among the low-level items. Even the skills available for exchange were useless. He then looked at the slightly better quality and more expensive section. Excellent Iron Sword, 10 points. Large Experience Fruit, 5 points. Mid-level Recovery Potion, 5 points. Seeing this, Lin Tian couldn't help but complain. This is just like a mindless game from 10 years ago. The player fights small lobsters at level 1, giant lobsters at level 10, rainbow lobsters at level 50, and supreme god demon lobsters at level 100. Damn. Let's look at the high-level items. In the high-quality section, it was mainly divided into equipment, skills, items, and others. Based on Lin Tian's current attributes, he wasn't weak, quite strong actually, but he didn't have a handy weapon or a powerful skill. Fighting would be tough. With 180 life points, he could probably exchange for something. He first checked the equipment section. Flame Longsword, 50 points. Enchanted with Fire Element, causing fire damage upon attack. Magic Sword, 70 points. Inscribed with Ancient Runes, can absorb and store some magical attacks and then release them. Elemental hand crossbow, 80 points. Capable of absorbing elemental power and firing elemental arrows. Usable elements, water, fire, wind, lightning, poison. Looking at these weapons, Lin Tian pondered. The flame sword was the cheapest, but not very useful. The magic sword had a good cost-performance ratio, but for Lin Tian's small build, wielding a sword against a mage, unrealistic. Moreover, the sword Saint has mainly used physical attacks. The best choice, which also suited Lin Tian's wallet, was the elemental hand crossbow, small in size. It could be equipped, though a bit expensive, but no need to look at more expensive ones. The key was its long-range attack, very suitable for stealthy actions. He clicked to exchange. Immediately, the elemental hand crossbow appeared in the system warehouse. He could retrieve it anytime he wanted. But Lin Tian didn't hurry and instead checked the skills section. This section mainly had high-tier skills. He had 100 life points left. He could barely exchange for a high-tier one. But super tier and above were out of the question. No blade capture, 80 points. Triumph without a blade. Can catch the enemy's weapon attacks barehanded 3 times. Necromancer's Call, 100 points. Summons nearby souls for use, lasting 80 seconds. Useful in large-scale battles. Boiling Blood, 100 points. Increases attack power, becoming stronger the longer the battle, maxing out at triple the attack power, lasting 10 minutes, but drastically reducing attack power for 3 minutes afterward. These skills all looked good, especially the Necromancer's Call, which could double the forces, though for a short duration. It could turn the tide, but it clearly required a lot of magic power. Most species in this world had some magic, but Lin Tian wasn't suitable to be a mage now and hadn't even touched it yet. Boiling Blood was decent, neither too good nor too bad, very useful in single combat. Ultimately, he chose no blade capture, a life-saving skill. So it was. Exchange successful. Skill has been issued to the warehouse. Lin Tian looked at the remaining 20 life points. What could he do with these? Save them. They were far from the super tier skill he wanted, which needed 300 points. Evil God's Blessing. 300 points? Can summon a puppet of the evil god equivalent to a 6th tier monster to protect the user, which will not disappear until killed. With this skill, his power would significantly increase. Unfortunately, he lacked enough life points, even if he used them. There was nothing worth exchanging for. Lin Tian couldn't help but ask, System, besides gaining 1 point per day and the life simulation, is there any other way to get life points? The host can also earn life points by completing tasks issued by the system. The tasks are random and usually appear when making significant life decisions. Hearing this, Lin Tian had no other options, so he decided to save the remaining 20 points. He opened the system warehouse and retrieved no blade capture and the elemental hand crossbow. He instantly learned the no blade capture skill. In his hand, he now held the elemental hand crossbow. He then equipped it on his left hand. It was about 30 centimeters long, very small, resembling a standard hand crossbow, but with 2 green infusion tube-like things inserted into Lin Tian's arm. Being a magical tool, it needed to connect to the body. When his hand approached various elements, the crossbow could charge. Since there were no elements nearby, Lin Tian secreted his own toxins, allowing the crossbow to absorb them. Let's find a target. How about that guy? Lin Tian locked his gaze on the bound loader, raised his left hand, and surprisingly noticed a targeting icon, just like in a shooting game. Aim, shoot. Who's attacking me? Loader, who was sleeping, screamed in pain, cursing but unable to find anyone. The next second, his face changed drastically. Body, paralyzed. Damn goblins. He couldn't mistake this familiar feeling. It was the goblin's paralyzing toxin. Lin Tian nodded in satisfaction, seeing the effect was good. After practicing for a while, he roughly understood the elemental hand crossbow's capabilities. Its range was 300 meters, not very far, but extremely accurate. It could store up to 50 shots, which could be evenly distributed among elements, 10 shots each, or more for a specific element. Without access to more elements, he primarily stored poison elements. Long-range paralysis was quite useful. Loader clenched his teeth in anger but was also very anxious. It's been so long. Why hasn't the Imperial family come to save me? Even if they think I'm dead, they should send someone for revenge. He endured all kinds of suffering, waiting for rescue. Otherwise, he would have bashed his head against a rock long ago. At the same time, the Silver Blade Knight Regiment members were searching all over the enchanted forest. The female member was constantly shouting for help, hoping to attract the goblin's attention. Captain, there's movement over there. In the forest center, a 3rd-tier demonic beast, a giant-eyed spider. He was wrapping up its freshly caught prey in silk. The Silver Blade captain was startled. Spider. I fear spiders the most. You guys handle it quickly. The archer in the group immediately drew his longbow and shot the cocoon down to the ground. Sensing something was wrong, the giant-eyed spider swiftly turned. Its body as large as the small house, yet incredibly agile. Its 8 long legs darted between towering trees. At this moment, a man stepped forward, holding a 2-meter-long spear. He locked onto the spider darting around and suddenly threw the spear. Screech. The spear pinned the spider to a tree. The archer then shot an arrow into its head. Just like that, they killed a third-tier demonic beast in under 3 minutes. As expected of an elite knight regiment nurtured by the imperial family, do you think Loder might already be dead? Most likely. Count Stantmont reportedly almost fainted from rage. Forget it. Let's quickly wipe out all the goblin tribes. After dealing with the spider, the Silverblade captain and his team continued forward. Sure enough, the goblins were drawn by a woman's calls. The outcome was predictable. They easily wiped out a tribe of 200 goblins. The Silverblade captain took out a small notebook and wrote a 1, saying, "Clear about 10 more, and we can return. Let's keep going. These low-level, weak monsters don't interest me at all. Then why didn't you stay and slay the dragon earlier? I can handle a wyvern, but I don't have the skill to slay an ancient dragon. Besides, if the ancient dragon race holds a grudge, we wouldn't even know how we died." As they chatted and laughed, the Silverblade Knight Regiment had already easily wiped out 5 or 6 goblin tribes. At this moment, the mage, Antu, became cautious. Wait, don't you notice that the closer we get to the inner enchanted forest, we haven't seen a single monster? Hiss. Now that you mention it, it does seem like that. Instantly, everyone became alert. They could faintly smell the scent of blood in the air. This indicated a massacre was happening nearby. Shush. Shush. Suddenly, there was a rustle in the bushes ahead. A green-skinned big goblin walked out, bumping right into the Silverblade Knight Regiment. For a moment, the air seemed to freeze, as they looked at each other, speechless. Is this a goblin? A big goblin. Mage Antu was stunned. The goblin's sudden appearance had caught them off guard. A goblin had just walked up to them. The Silverblade captain remarked, "Wow, look at this guy's muscle definition. It could rival that bald guy from the Battle Roar Regiment." At this moment, the big goblin was also dumbfounded. Roaming the enchanted forest for so long, searching for monsters to hunt. This was the first time he had encountered human, a group of well-equipped humans. He quickly reacted, roaring. This immediately attracted the attention of other goblins nearby, who stopped what they were doing and looked towards the source of the sound. The Silverblade captain added, "Looks like we found the reason why there are no monsters around here." Chapter 24. Chapter 24, Forest of Despair. Immediately, the archer drew his longbow fully, aiming an arrow at the goblin's heart. The arrow bounced off. It even has iron armor. How is that possible? A man exclaimed in surprise. The Silverblade captain, however, was not too surprised. Perhaps it killed a human and took the iron armor. Nothing to be shocked about. Seeing the bow and arrow were ineffective, the spearman began to gather strength. He suddenly hurled his spear. Whoosh! The sound of it tearing through the air was deafening. The goblin was directly pierced and pinned to a large tree behind it. "Easy kill," the spearman said proudly, looking very disdainful. But then, the goblin moved. It slowly pulled out the spear embedded in its body. This scene shocked everyone. The spearman couldn't believe it. How is this possible? My attack can kill a third-tier monster. A mere goblin. Even a big goblin should be dead. He had killed many big goblins before. This was the first time his full-strength attack failed to kill one. Something is off. Antu, hit it with a spell to finish it. The Silverblade captain ordered, frowning. The mage started chanting. But a terrifying roar interrupted him. Roar. The roar of the big goblin echoed through the forest, causing birds to flee in panic. There were movements all around. 1, 2, 3. One after another, big goblins equipped with iron armor and swords appeared. Antu was at a loss. Damn. There are 40 or 50 of them. Captain, there are more. Look above. I spotted goblin assassin. What kind of goblin tribe did we provoke? The Silverblade captain dismounted, drawing a silver longsword engraved with holy runes. The runes dealt extra damage to monsters. He joked, "Do you think we can handle this? If not, we can retreat. It's just a group of big goblins. We can handle it." The spearman said confidently. The others stayed silent, remaining very vigilant. But it wasn't over. The ground started to shake. A massive entity was approaching, each step causing blood pressure to rise and hearts to race. Crack, crack. In the distance, towering trees were falling and leaning. The Silverblade captain and his men swallowed hard. It's coming. 4 scarlet eyes glowed ominously in the darkness, slowly approaching. The height of those eyes indicated a massive creature, 2 to 3 meters tall. They finally saw it clearly. A large, gray goblin with green spots, bulging muscles, and a head much smaller compared to its body. It had 4 arms. It carried a longsword, a large beast's fang, and even a spear. The other goblins made way for it. It was Goblin. The hulking goblin had evolved into a hero variant, a powerful goblin. Is he the leader of these goblins? Quite intimidating. The Silverblade captain tightened his grip on his longsword. The spearman took 2 spears from his horse, a hero variant with 4 arms. I'll take him on first. Mid-tier martial skill, Storm Spear. He immediately hurled a spear. It was a skill-powered attack. The spear whistled through the air, aimed straight at Goblin head. Goblin caught the spear with one hand and threw it back. At that moment, the other goblins attacked simultaneously. They aimed to tear the humans apart. The spearman's pupils contracted. He had a premonition. He couldn't dodge the returning spear, so he quickly sidestepped. The next second, his brown horse was pierced and pinned to a tree like a roasted lamb. Damn it. Watching his beloved horse die, the spearman was enraged. He began his attack, mid-tier martial skill, Hurricane Spear. He enchanted his spear, each swing releasing powerful gusts. It could push back big goblins, but it was ineffective against Gobu Kwang. The four-armed goblin opened his arms and struck at the Silver Blade captain with his longsword and the giant tooth. Each clash of their weapons sent shocks through the captain's arm. Impossible. Does a hero variant have such monstrous strength? Sweat began to bead on the Silver Blade captain's forehead. Seeing he was unable to break free, the archer in the distance fully drew her bow and activated a skill. Mid-tier archery. Power shot. If this hit the head, even a hero variant should fall. However, it required 30 seconds to charge, hence the name Power Shot. Unbeknownst to her, a small figure was slowly approaching. Splurt. A sharp claw viciously pierced the female archer's abdomen, dragging her away swiftly. Damn it. Dimmy got ambushed? I told you there were goblin assassins. Why didn't you pay attention? The Silver Blade captain roared angrily, wanting to chase but was entangled, unable to break free. The others were in the same situation. Mei Jantu's face showed panic. Captain, didn't you notice something's wrong? These goblins are unusually tough. It's been so long and we still haven't killed one. You think I don't know? This is insane. The spearman cursed. He was already injured but had only managed to kill one goblin. In the distance, the goblin that had grabbed Dimmy finally revealed itself. Unlike the goblin assassin, it was even shorter than a low-level goblin, about the size of a pet dog. Its entire body was black-purple, naked, grotesque, with eyes so large that they nearly took up its entire face. Resembling an alien, both its feet and clawed hands were exceptionally sharp. Despite its small size, it was incredibly strong, effortlessly dragging a much larger human while running swiftly. It laughed sinisterly while running. This was Gobu Tian, who had evolved into a hero variant, the Dark Goblin, a ghostly presence. It then ran up a tree, carrying the female archer. Even without using its hands, it easily reached the treetop and hung her on a branch, using the blood hole in her abdomen, impaling her on the branch. Ah! It hurts. Someone save me. Captain. Sword Sanus. Cough! Cough. Dimmy screamed in agony, blood continuously gushing from her mouth, choking her. Seeing the grotesque Gobu Tian nearby, she screamed in horror. Ghost. Monster. But screaming caused her abdominal pain to almost make her faint. My intestines are torn. Liver and lungs punctured. My stomach feels like it's falling out. I don't want to die. I want to go home and eat my mom's pumpkin pie. Boo-hoo! Despair and terror overwhelmed her mind. Everything happened so suddenly, as if she had fallen into hell instantly. The memory of her mom's pumpkin pie was the only thing she could think of that gave her a sense of security. But it was merely a deathbed hallucination. Back in the forest battle, everyone was injured. No matter how much they roared or struggled, it was futile. The Silver Blade captain could only fight Gobu Kwang with all his might, unable to care for the situation behind him. He got stabbed twice. The severe pain rendered him powerless, as Gobu Kwang grabbed him. The remaining members were also gravely wounded, caught by Gobu Kwang, unable to break free. The spearman's hands trembled with fear. No! I need to get reinforcements. With the team captured and Demi's fate unknown, continuing to fight was meaningless. He turned to flee. Suddenly, a grotesque creature hung upside down from a treetop, its two abyssal black eyes staring at him. He staggered in fright. It was Gobu Tian. The spearman forced himself to keep running, but Gobu Tian climbed onto his back, tearing at him, shredding his iron armor and ripping chunks of flesh away, fueled by adrenaline. The spearman ignored the pain and charged forward. Then suddenly, he felt his left foot lose balance and fell to the ground. Seeing clearly, he screamed in horror, "Ah! My foot! Where's my foot?" Following the blood trail, he saw his severed foot ahead, being picked up and gnawed on by a goblin assassin. Hell! This is hell. Luckily, Gobu Tian was thrown off. The spearman activated a high-tier skill, Wind God. Take me away. Wind's blessing. A violent windstorm erupted in the forest. A whirlwind swept the spearman into the air, rapidly leaving the enchanted forest. During this time, he saw a horrific scene. Dimmy! Her gruesome death nearly broke him. He escaped. Looking up, Gobu Kwang said calmly. Gobu Tian returned with Demi's corpse, saying, Kekeke. Let's go. We need to report back to the boss? The remaining goblins danced and cheered. It was almost becoming goblin corporate culture. In this battle, only 3 goblin warriors and 1 goblin assassin were lost. The loss was minimal in the Tian Quang tribe. Lin Tian watched the forest, hearing the commotion from afar, but unclear about what happened. Loder's face was full of pride. It must be the Sword Saintess coming to rescue me. The Imperial family will surely send someone too. Your death is near. My time has come. My time has come. His voice was almost hysterical. The wait had been too long, the torment too painful. He was like Fanjin passing the Imperial exam. Lin Tian also felt doubtful, ready to flee with Gobu Yue at any moment. The others could die, but Loder had to be killed before leaving. If Freya had been successfully brainwashed and could be spared for some fun. But when he saw the group of goblins returning, his heart finally eased a bit. He almost thought the madwoman Sword Saintess had come, seeing Gobu Tian and Gobu Kwang's appearance. He was pleasantly surprised. Gobu Kwang held 4 people, with Gobu Tian perched on his shoulder, leading dozens of big goblins back. Oh, they captured so many people. Wait, isn't their presence a bit too intense? Lin Tian was happy but suddenly felt pressure. He almost forgot they had evolved into hero variants. Could they possibly turn on him? Chapter 25. Chapter 25? Gobu Tian's betrayal. From a distance, even Loader felt an inexplicable pressure approaching. Gobu Yue looked at them and, unable to contain her fear, hid by Lin Tian's side. Goblin heroes? Lin Tian, are you still confident in being their leader? Seeing this, Leah spoke fearfully. Having finally gained Lin Tian's trust, if Lin Tian were killed, their fates would be obvious. Boss, we caught some humans. At this moment, Gobu Kuang triumphantly lifted the Silver Blade Captain and waved happily. Lin Tian did not panic. Instead, he appeared very calm. Well done. I'll reward you later. Gobu Kuang laughed heartily. However, Gobu Tian, with his deep, hollow, pitch-black eyes, stared intently at Lin Tian without speaking. It seemed as if he was contemplating something impossible. Silver Blade Captain. Onto, how did you get caught too? Seeing the captured individuals, Loader felt his heart sink. The Silver Blade Captain showed a slight tremor. Loader, you're still alive. I'm sorry. We failed the Count's orders. These goblins are too strong. We're no match for them unless the Sword Saintess comes in person. As he spoke, his eyes trembled. They were no match at all. 7 people. 2 dead. 1 escaped. The rest were severely injured. You couldn't even defeat 2 hero variants. And 2 is dead. And Kane too. What about Dimmy? Loader saw the bodies being dragged by the goblins and felt on the verge of collapse. Because the 3 knight regiments sent this time were all trained by the Stampmont family. So, Dimmy was his childhood friend. At this moment, a goblin threw down a horribly mangled corpse. The eyes were wide open, clearly tortured in pain. But there was still a faint breath left. Mumbling, pumpkin pie, pumpkin pie. Loader, your highness, are you here for pumpkin pie too? With that, he could no longer hold on. Kill them. Kill these damn vile goblins. I'll ask the Emperor to send troops. Loader struggled madly, veins bulging. His face twisted into a mess. His eyes seemed about to burst. Bloodshot. The Silver Blade Captain was also deeply aggrieved, but defeat was defeat. Your Highness, we were incompetent. Sorry. But 1 member escaped back. I believe the Sword Saintess will come to rescue us. Why hasn't that wretched Alicenia come? Has she forgotten she's the Holy Sword protecting the Lionheart Empire? Loader was furious, directly venting his anger on the Sword Saintess. After all the suffering, not only had they not been safe, but his childhood friend died so horribly. The accumulated emotions exploded at this moment. He even felt as if he could die at any moment. The Silver Blade Captain lowered his head helplessly. Your Highness, don't be like this. The Sword Saintess is concerned about the safety of the residents of Brighttown and hasn't neglected her duties for a moment. To hell with Brighttown. Those bastards. If it weren't for them, would I be in this situation? They're all damned. Loader continued to shout. The members of the Silver Blade said nothing more, understanding his feeling. Now, they could only hope the Sword Saintess would come to their rescue. At this moment, Lin Tian said, tie those people up first. Don't kill them yet. I have some questions. But the goblins behind him did not move. All eyes turned to Gobu Kuang. To them, he now held more authority. However, the naturally dim-witted Gobu Kuang was the first to start working. Tying up the paralyzed individual, Lin Tian also noticed something. These goblins had started to defy him. Suddenly, Loader let out a strange laugh. His messy hair revealed a pair of ferocious eyes staring at Lin Tian. Retribution is inevitable. You won't remain a leader for long. I'll watch them tear you apart. Eat you alive. The Silver Blade Captain still didn't understand. What? That hero variant isn't their leader. This small goblin? You should worry about yourselves. Lin Tian replied. He then checked the attributes of Gobu Tian and Gobu Kuang. Gobu Tian, LV Fede. Race, Goblin. Profession, Dark Assassin. Title, Elf's Child. God's Blessing. Keen Hunter. Hero's Strength. Death God in Darkness. Monster Slayer. Health, 670. Strength, 230. Defense, 140. Skills, Razor Hands. Ghostly Presence. Spectral Stealth. Phantom Form. Equipment, none. Overall, 1200. Gobu Kuang, LVFI. Race, Goblin. Profession, Four-Armed Warrior. Title, Innate Strength. Dominance. Hero's Strength. God's Blessing. Monster Slayer. Elf's Child. Health, 1000. Strength, 340. Defense, 280. Skills, Frenzied Power. Mountain Shatter. Strong Shield. Magic Resistance. Equipment, none. Overall, 1100. Looking at these two, Lin Tian felt quite satisfied. Goblins, compared to humans, had higher attributes, but their overall combat power was much lower. Humans excelled in group battles, techniques, equipment, and skills. Of course, there were exceptions, such as dark goblins, so that's how it is. Gobu Tian, that kid, has become quite arrogant, reaching an overall combat power of 1200. Lin Tian muttered to himself, slowly walking towards the bonfire. He reached out to absorb the fire elemental energy. What is he doing? Absorbing flames. Is he a mutant variant? The Silver Blade Captain exclaimed in surprise, but no one could explain it. Lin Tian looked at Gobu Tian. Gobu Tian, feed that wyvern. From a distance, Gobu Tian, who was perched on a rock, moved slightly, hesitated for a while, and then started to act. He behaved like a rebellious 5 or 6 year old child. Taking advantage of the moment he turned around, Lin Tian pulled out the elemental hand crossbow. which he had been charging for a long time, and fired. Whoosh! A fist-sized fireball shot out on the spot. It was unavoidable. Gobu-Tian was hit and thrown more than 10 meters away. This scene left everyone, including the goblins, stunned. The boss is fighting Gobu-Tian. Fight! 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 Gobu-Tian, show him who the real boss is. As these words were spoken, Lin Tian glanced at the goblin who had spoken, but he didn't deal with it immediately because Gobu-Tian had disappeared. The blessing of darkness? It's indeed your playground at night, a skill that allows you to become completely invisible. Lin Tian's lips curled slightly, both in praise and disdain. At this moment, Gobu-Tian, like a lizard, quickly crawled on the ground, leaping onto the shed and then onto a tree trunk outside. His eyes were fixed on Lin Tian, waiting for an opportunity to strike. When he reached Lin Tian's back, he pounced suddenly. The sharp claws were enough to tear any flesh and blood apart. Got you? Lin Tian said unexpectedly, turning around and launching an attack. He fired 3 fire arrows at his back. Playing agility games with him, he had acquired the elven skill, Keen Eye. Back then, no one else ate the elf's corpse. The other goblins were all thinking about mating, so only he acquired this skill. Gobu-Tian never expected it and couldn't avoid it, being knocked to the ground instantly. His body was burning with flames, barely breathing and unable to move. One of the 3 arrows was a poison elemental arrow. The egg-sized attack was a charged shot, highly damaging but slower. The normal ones were arrow-shaped, very fast and almost unavoidable. The Silver Blade captain was incredulous. What did that guy fire to instantly kill this monster? They had suffered miserably at Gobu-Tian's hand. Dimi had died horribly. And this small goblin before them. What kind of terrifying existence was he? It was hard to imagine their target this time was really a goblin tribe. It was too abnormal. Boss, I surrender. I was wrong. Gobu-Tian twisted and struggled on the ground a few times, realizing it was useless, and quickly begged for mercy. The other goblins were stunned, never expecting Gobu-Tian to lose, but a few loyal goblins cheered, dancing around. Then, Lin Tian slowly walked towards Gobu-Tian, stepping on his head. Gobu-Tian, after all the time and effort I spent training you, you dare to rebel against me? Boss, please spare me for capturing so many humans for you. I'm your son. Tears dripped from Gobu-Tian's large black eyes. It was the first time the Silver Blade captain had seen a goblin cry, let alone say the word son. They hadn't expected the intelligence of a hero variant to be so high, at least the level of a teenager. Lin Tian showed a loving smile. Child, my precious child. Of course, Daddy will forgive you. But first, go meet your other siblings. With that, he drew a finely crafted short sword from his waist and stabbed it through his head. Brains splattered? To him, what child? Nonsense. Betrayal was betrayal, with no moral consideration. Though common and inevitable among goblin tribes, how to deal with it was up to the leaders. Like Lin Tian, hiss. At this moment, all the goblins were frightened, not daring to breathe loudly. Even Loader couldn't believe it. You're terrifying, killing a rare hero variant just like that. It's not over yet. Lin Tian, holding his sword, slowly approached a big goblin, his eyes full of killing intent. Slash, on the spot. The head was severed, and he continued to kill 7 more big goblins. 4 of them were goblin assassins closely associated with Gobu-Tian. From today on, anyone who wants to challenge me can come forward. But the only outcome for the loser is death, and the followers of the loser will also die. Lin Tian wiped the blood from his sword, speaking coldly. This time, the goblins did not cheer, but were terrified. Too afraid to move, the effect pleased Lin Tian, and he proceeded to eat some of Gobu-Tian's corpse. He gained a new skill, Blessing of Darkness, which allowed near invisibility in dark environments. Detectable only by particularly keen eyes, but it was limited to darkness. If exposed to light, he couldn't stay invisible, though other skills were also good. The Dark Goblin was too small to eat it all at once. He had to cultivate another Dark Goblin. You, come here. You will be called Gobu-Tian now. Lin Tian called over a goblin assassin he had observed for a long time, relatively honest, and who had stood by him earlier. Gobu-Tian hesitated. Boss, I am loyal to you. Please don't kill me. Who said I would kill you? Eat him. And those others too. Lin Tian commanded. Gobu-Tian hesitated but then understood, starting to devour the former Gobu-Tian's corpse, a level 50 corpse. Consuming it increased his experience significantly, and Gobu-Tian gained all the skills. Then he ate the other big goblins' bodies, but he was still only level 47. Lin Tian glanced. Eat those 2 human corpses as well. Don't you dare! Loader shouted again, but it was futile rage, as he could only watch Gobu-Tian eat the corpses. Finally, the goblin assassin began to evolve, shedding layers of skin. He evolved into a form similar to the former Gobu-Tian. Boss, I've evolved. Gobu-Tian, overjoyed, knelt before Lin Tian, waiting for him to touch his head. This was a gesture of submission among goblins. Lin Tian patted his head. Go now. Scout the surroundings and ensure no one sneaks in. Your Highness Loader, what kind of monster have you provoked? He feels more like a cunning strategist than Gobu Kwang, a monster that even an empire would fear, the Silver Blade captain said in terror. This time, they were truly doomed. Lin Tian looked at them. These so-called Imperial Knights seemed quite weak. Chapter 26. Chapter 26. Death God, Kasimov. Andersis, Elvifari. Race, human. Profession, Imperial Knight. Title, Defender of the Homeland. Honor Knight. Charismatic Leader. Health, 930. Strength, 240. Defense, 287. Skills, Silver Light Slash, Sword Resonance, Sword Dance, Power of Glory. Equipment, Fine Silver Armor, Fine Alloy Longsword, Cloak Overall, 1000. Although his attributes were not bad, overall, he was only slightly stronger than Loader at level 40-something. After all, Loader was of Imperial blood and a disciple of the Sword Saintess. His skills were quite ordinary, indicating he was just an ordinary knight commander. Lin Tian thought he was a formidable enemy. The others had power levels around 900. The upgraded second-generation elite goblins each had strength around 700. Being surrounded by them, it was already impressive to last 3 minutes. Currently, Lin Tian's power level was at 1500. He had perfectly mastered the skills of the elemental hand crossbow and no blade capture. His strength had surged quickly. Relying on these useless people to save you. Loader, it seems you are too naive. Lin Tian couldn't help but mock. The Silver Blade captain lowered his head, sighed, and said, "Indeed, we were too naive. From our brief encounter, I realized you are an extremely terrifying opponent. If left unchecked, you will be a disaster for the Empire. But fortunately, the Sword Saintess will definitely come to deal with you. She is the Empire's holy sword of protection, and she will cut down you monsters." The other team members also said, "That's right, the Sword Saintess will soon come to sweep you away." Still a little fanboy of hers. Lin Tian found it somewhat amusing and glanced at the remaining few people. He drew the short sword from his waist. The Silver Blade captain tensed up. What are you going to do? Wait, stop, swish. On the spot, Lin Tian started bleeding one of the humans. The moment the neck artery ruptured, blood spurted 10 meters away. He marveled at the heart. This miraculous pump. Captain, save me. I can't breathe. The human spoke in pain. Soon falling into shock from blood loss, Lin Tian then called over the highest level elite goblin, also a goblin assassin, and had him devour the human's flesh and blood to level up quickly. After devouring it all, the goblin reached level 48, still 2 levels short. Lin Tian continued, killing 2 more people, as if slaughtering chickens and dogs. Unfortunately, he didn't even gain 1 level. The experience requirement was getting higher and higher. He estimated he would need to devour 7 or 8 level 40-50 people to evolve into an elite goblins. As long as they had sufficient aptitude, evolved at levels 30, 50, 70, 90, and 100. But there were also cases of evolution failure. Watching his team members die one by one, the gap between the Silver Blade captain and Loader became very clear. He was very calm, not yelling or screaming. After all, he had been on the Imperial battlefield. Accustomed to life and death, he simply said, "It's a pity, Sword Saintess. They ultimately couldn't hold on until you came to rescue." Reality differed from games and anime, falling into enemy hands, 9 times out of 10. The result was death. Hope was just wishful thinking. This was the cruel reality. Lin Tian also admired the Silver Blade captain, giving him a swift end. Rest in peace. Then, he let the goblin eat him too. Concentrating resources whenever possible was the best way to cultivate new hero variants. The creatures in the Enchanted Forest had been killed clean, leaving no source of experience. This was Lin Tian's current biggest headache. Bastard. I won't forgive you. I definitely won't forgive you. Loader had completely lost his mind, barking like a mad dog. Lin Tian's ears were getting calloused from hearing it, so he knocked him out. Then, he mounted the dragon and prepared to check out the situation in Brighttown. If the Sword Saintess really came, things would be dangerous. At dawn, Brighttown was already bustling. The members of the Battle Roar Regiment were chatting and laughing in the tavern. They hadn't slept all night to guard against a dragon attack. Early in the morning, they even had a glass of whiskey to refresh themselves. Very fitting for the wild and bold Battle Roar Regiment members. Those guys are too useless, aren't they? Gone for so many days and still haven't dealt with a few goblins. Ha ha ha. The Battle Roar captain laughed. He clinked glasses as he spoke. At this moment, a strange gale rushed toward Brighttown, arriving above the town. Thud. Suddenly, a spear-wielding man fell from the gale, covered in blood, missing a leg, and with several broken bones from the fall. The townspeople were frightened out of their wits. They even thought it was a monster invasion and scattered in all directions. The spear-wielding man struggled to stay conscious, crawling forward despite his broken bones, refusing to stop. Eventually, he collapsed in exhaustion. From afar, the Sword Saintess spotted him. She leapt several steps into the town and reached his side. She carried him to the tavern. Sword Saintess, what brings you here? Would you like a drink? The Battle Roar captain stood up quickly, but his expression changed drastically when he saw the spear-wielding man in her hands. Everyone hurried over to check. The healer immediately began casting healing spells. The Battle Roar captain was incredulous. Weren't they going to deal with goblins? How did they end up like this? Anyone would think they had gone to slay a dragon. The Sword Saintess said, I don't know either. I saw him fall from the sky and then faint. Soon, the spear-wielding man finally woke up, but he was still very weak. Everyone asked seriously, what happened? Where are the others? How did you end up like this? Cough! Cough! Sword Saintess, have you stayed up all night again? You really work hard. The spear-wielding man coughed, blood and clots pouring from his throat. The Sword Saintess quickly took out a high-level recovery potion, intending to heal him, but he refused, saying, my injuries are too severe. It's no use. Sword Saintess, you must go save the captain and the others. They were captured by a group of goblins, including 2 hero variants, dozens of elite goblin, probably from a super large tribe. Moreover, be very careful. These goblins are unusual. Each one is twice as strong as a normal goblin. Cough! Cough! He coughed a few more times. The battle roar captain frowned and said, a super large tribe. That doesn't make sense. 2 hero variants and dozens of elites shouldn't be able to capture them. They're just goblins. Hey, hold on. At this point, the spear-wielding man couldn't hold on any longer. His eyes rolled back, and he died a tragic death at dawn. The sword saintess looked at him and sighed. After all, he was a knight of the imperial family. How did he get injured so badly? A severed leg, multiple sharp weapon wounds all over his body, even his lungs. It seems these goblins have iron weapons. Damn it. The last survivor of the Windspear family. And he died like this? The battle roar captain said angrily, looking at the spear-wielding man's corpse with deep sorrow. He couldn't believe that the Silverblade Knight Regiment had fallen at the hands of a group of goblins. A group of low-level monsters that they usually wouldn't even care about. Just moments ago. They were laughing and joking, and now they had been severely humiliated. The other team members were also puzzled. Even with 2 hero variants and a group of elites, they shouldn't have ended up like this. They didn't even have a chance to escape. Damn it! Let's go wipe out those damn low-level beasts. The battle roar captain, furious, swung his double-bladed giant axe and was about to charge out, but the team members stopped him. Wait, Captain, didn't he just say? These goblins are unusual. We can't act rashly. To hell with that. I want to chop off all their heads and shove them up their asses. The battle roar captain was so angry that his fists crackled. At this moment, the sword saintess spoke. Calm down, everyone. If you leave, I can't protect the residents from an invasion by 2 ancient dragons and a large group of wyverns. There might even be a goblin sneak attack. But, sword saintess, are we just gonna sit and wait? If we're too late, the Silverblade Knight Regiment will be wiped out. The battle roar captain sat down. Frustrated and angry, going was not an option, nor was staying. The sword saintess was also in a difficult position, finally saying, you should hurry back to the capital and bring more reinforcements. Then, I will personally slaughter those goblins and dragons. All you need to do is guard Brighttown. But, if we do that, won't the Silverblade Knight Regiment be? The battle roar captain still wanted to say something. A team member stopped him. Do you think they still have a chance of being alive? The condition of the man who returned proves it. The spear-wielding man couldn't even survive the escape, if captured. Some goblins had probably already digested the others and excreted them. Hearing this, the battle roar captain finally calmed down. Sigh. Alright, let's do that. For now, leave the rescue of the Silverblade Knight Regiment to me. Suddenly, a cold voice spoke. The speaker was Kasimov, the leader of the Death Knight Regiment, the only survivor of the Battle of Death Valley. His strength far exceeded that of the other leaders. The sword saintess looked at him and said, are you sure you want to go alone? An entire knight regiment was defeated. In Death Valley, I faced 4 Titan warriors. 5 warriors alone and survived. A group of goblins. Even if I can't defeat them, they can't harm me. Kasimov said, taking off his pitch-black helmet. Everyone was shocked when they saw his true face. No hair, full of burn scars. Crisscrossed with knife scars on his face, he looked like a terrifying monster. Unimaginable what kind of battles he had survived. The battle roar captain laughed. I knew you wouldn't let us down. But to boast in front of the sword saintess, you're too arrogant. I wouldn't dare compare myself to the sword saintess, but dealing with trash like you is easy, Kasimov said disdainfully. The battle roar captain was so angry he wanted to rush over and punch him, but his team members held him back. Then, without wasting time, Kasimov mounted his horse and headed deep into the enchanted forest, not far outside Brighttown. On a high mountain, Lin Tian was observing while riding a bipedal dragon. Kasimov, LV60. Race, human. Profession, Desperate Knight gains a 30% attribute buff when alone. Title, Survivor of Desperation. Kingdom Protector, Honor Knight, Bearer of Mission. Health, 800. Strength, 310. Defense, 303. Skills, Death Roar, Grim Reaper's Harvest. Knight's Glory. Equipment, Black Iron Armor, Black Iron Longsword, Black Cloak. Overall, 1300. From a distance, Lin Tian understood. This strength is not bad, but thinking he can wipe us out alone? Isn't that too naive? Chapter 27. Chapter 27. Naming. Gobushan. Then, he rode the dragon and returned first. Kasimov looked up into the distance, sensing something pass by, but saw nothing. Lin Tian flew at low altitude to avoid being exposed. Upon returning to the tribe, he started thinking of ways to capture that guy. Level 60, not weak at all, and a big bundle of experience. If he devoured him, he'd be one step closer to cultivating a new hero variant. Do you know a man named Kasimov? He's here. Coming to die? Lin Tian walked up to Loder and said, upon hearing this, Loder was overjoyed. I didn't expect him to come too. Finally, we are saved. You will all die. He is someone who has taken down several Titan warriors alone. What are Titan warriors? Lin Tian asked in confusion. Loder did not hold back and explained. They are special warriors cultivated by an enemy nation using Titan genes. Their physical qualities are extremely strong, capable of tearing apart 5th tier monsters with their bare hands. In that case, Kasimov indeed has some skills. Lin Tian pondered. He couldn't fall into that guy's hands and had to minimize casualties. Ideally, 0 casualties. Every goblin in this tribe had been painstakingly nurtured. Loader kept laughing proudly on the side, incessantly saying that they were all doomed and would all die. Lin Tian suddenly looked at him coldly. I don't even know how to deal with you right now. At this moment, sending the goblins to deal with him would actually delight him. Physical torture. He was already numb to it, barely feeling any pain. Suddenly, Lin Tian thought of a way to handle Kasimov. Ifreya, crawl here. Master, my noble lord, what do you need Ifreya to do? Ifreya quickly ran over like a dog, sticking out her pink tongue. Loader's voice abruptly stopped. Lin Tian commanded. Later. I need you to... You dare. Ifreya, don't listen to that beast. You are one of us humans. You are the saintess of the Holy Order. Don't associate with those damn goblins. Loader shouted in despair. Defeated again, his hopes were repeatedly crushed by Lin Tian. Then, Ifreya stood up, put on tattered clothes, and made herself filthy. If she still looked like a normal person, it would definitely arouse suspicion. Then she was sent to walk towards the enchanted forest. Lin Tian called Goblin. Come with me. There's something to do. It seems true. The entire enchanted forest is devoid of monsters. Very unusual. Kasimov scanned the surroundings and said, finally. He saw the place where the Silver Blade captain and others had fought last night, with obvious battle marks. Getting closer. He quickly accelerated, riding his horse at full speed. At that moment, a person suddenly appeared in front of him, and the face seemed somewhat familiar. Help me. Kasimov. It was Ifreya. Seeing him, she immediately ran over. Kasimov dismounted swiftly. You are the white-robed nun Ifreya. You didn't die. Where is Lord Loader? He is dead. Take me away from here quickly. I need to return to the Order. Boo-hoo. Ifreya threw herself into Kasimov's arm, crying. Seeing her appearance and reaction, he couldn't imagine what horrific things she had endured with the goblins, especially since she was a sacred nun, chosen as a servant of God. But now, Kasimov quickly comforted her. Stay here and don't move. I'll go check the situation. If I don't return for a long time, just run straight ahead, okay? Please hurry. Ifreya pleaded. As Kasimov turned around, a holy light suddenly shone, holy Bible cage. In an instant, he was trapped in a crucifix. Seeing this, Kasimov was shocked. Nun, what are you doing? Holy light impact. It wasn't over yet. Ifreya attacked again. Kasimov immediately reacted. Mid-tier. Death roar. Roar. A mournful wail like that of a hell demon echoed. It shattered the crucifix confining him. However, he couldn't avoid the holy light. He immediately drew his longsword to block it. Unexpectedly, such a powerful attack only pushed him back 4 or 5 meters and was completely blocked. White-robed nun. Do you know what you're doing? Kasimov said, eyes filled with fury. However, Ifreya had no intention of stopping, continuously attacking. This was Lin Tian's order. Sustained attacks to exhaust Kasimov's strength. They also ambushed from behind. While the two fought fiercely, a figure quietly approached. Even though it was daytime, Gobutian's dark blessing didn't work, preventing him from becoming invisible. But his speed was still incredible. Suddenly, he struck. Clang. The sharp claws made a metallic collision sound but failed to pierce through, leaving only a crack. Kasimov reacted immediately. What the hell is this? Death roar. This skill not only dispelled control but also stunned enemies, rendering them immobile. He was serious now. The ear-piercing roar paralyzed Gobutian, and the longsword was about to fall on his head. A burning arrow suddenly flew from nowhere, forcing Kasimov to retreat. In the brief moment, Gobutian quickly escaped. With his incredible speed and small size, he darted through the grass, making it hard to locate him. Someone else is hiding. No, it must be a monster? Ifreya, as a nun of the Holy Order, why are you colluding with monsters? Kasimov angrily glared at her. However, there was no response. Only continuous attacks. It seems I have to get rough with you. Then, he ignited a black flame in his left hand, casting a high-tier spell. Grim Reaper's Harvest. It could seize souls, causing them to pass out. Lin Tian watched from afar, sensing something was wrong. If this continued, Ifreya would be taken away. He would rather let her die than be captured, controlling the elemental hand crossbow. He launched an attack. Clang, clang, clang. However, it was blocked by iron armor again. This armor seems quite valuable. It's incredibly resistant. Lin Tian commented. Kasimov coldly stared in the direction the arrows came from. Stop hiding. What kind of monster are you? Come out now. It seems you are indeed more troublesome than those guys last night. Finally, Lin Tian slowly walked out of the bushes, seeing it was a small goblin. Kasimov was still extremely shocked. How can a low-level goblin like you? He realized this goblin tribe was terrifying. A small goblin was so strong and intelligent, and that black creature hiding in the bushes was likely a special variant of goblin too. The situation was too dangerous. He had to leave quickly with the white-robed nun. Kasimov steeled himself. Let's end this quickly. Suddenly, he charged, moving first. But Lin Tian stood still, not intending to dodge. You're dead. Kasimov couldn't imagine how Lin Tian could evade. It was too late to use any skill. The cold black blade was just centimeters from piercing Lin Tian's heart. But suddenly, Kasimov felt dizzy and confused. His hands were empty, not knowing what to do. His longsword appeared in Lin Tian's hands. Everything at stake for men in 2024. Bet. Come not bad. This sword. I'll give it to Gobu Kwang. Lin Tian examined it, then threw it dozens of meters away, embedding it into a tree trunk. Kasimov's heart pounded. His expression worse than if he had eaten shit? Impossible. What happened? My sword. How did it get into your hands? This was Lin Tian's skill. No blade capture. Bah. When activated once, it could be used 3 times consecutively to withstand 3 physical attacks. If used all at once, it had a chance to seize the opponent's weapon. Depending on the opponent's strength, your strength is formidable. But unfortunately, you're too arrogant. As Lin Tian finished speaking, Freya's Holy Bible cage skill became usable again, trapping Kasimov directly. Then he let Goblin take action, this time, he shattered Kasimov's armor with 1 strike. Lin Tian had been continuously attacking the cracks in his armor, causing them to widen and break more easily. Blood flowed down Kasimov's back. Kasimov started to panic. When did that monster get behind me again? Or was it always there? No matter what, was I always destined to lose? Now he understood that even if the sword hadn't been seized, the black creature would have ambushed him, covering his wound. Kasimov retreated repeatedly. Severely injured and weaponless, he knew his end was near. After being savagely torn by Goblin, he completely lost the ability to resist, facing just 2 goblins. I am no match. What kind of terrifying existence is this tribe? Leader, I am coming to meet you. Kasimov finished and fell into a pool of blood. Lin Tian smiled coldly. Pleased. Finally, the matter was resolved. Fortunately, these guys came one by one like the Calabash brothers rescuing their grandpa. If they had come together, it would have been tough to handle. However, under his open scheme, they had no choice. Otherwise, it would have been a wasted trip to find the purple gold dragon mother. Looking at Freya in the distance, Lin Tian said, "Well done. I will reward you well." This time, she had indeed played a role. Freya hopped over on all 4, pulling at Lin Tian's ragged clothes. Noble master, I want my reward now. I am already your slave. Let me serve you. Go away. We'll talk later. Lin Tian impatiently kicked her fair and tender face. Then he retrieved the black longsword and had Goblin drag the corpse back to the tribe. When Kasimov's body was thrown in the middle of the tribe, the goblins cheered again. Loder's face was filled with disbelief. Another one dead. That sword saintess bitch? Why hasn't she come yet for those damned Brighttown riffraff? Oh, is this how you slander your master? I think she's quite great. Very righteous, Lin Tian said, scrutinizing him. Then he had the previous goblin come to devour the corpse. It leveled up to 49, almost evolving into a hero variant, and received the name from Lin Tian. Gobushan. This guy was quite docile, considered kind in this goblin tribe. Encountering flowers, grass, or small insects, he wouldn't crush them but play with them instead. Usually, he preferred to be alone. However, he wasn't truly kind. He was a truly dark, evil, and even perverted goblin, catching prey. He would torment it to death bit by bit, with small insects. He enjoyed making them fight to the death, watching them kill each other. Then he ate them all. Lin Tian wanted to see if he would mutate into a rare existence if he evolved into a hero variant. Gobushan. Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss. I have a name now. Gobushan danced with joy, celebrating. At this moment, sending the goblins to deal with him would actually delight him. OMG. Calabash Brothers, a Chinese anime reference.